Ha ha ha. Ho 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 ho. Okie dokie. Let's see if I can change this damn setting from here today. Maybe. Possibly. Alright. You know what I need to do? I think I need to illuminate the situation a little bit. A little darker. Right there. So let me plug this red memory jammer in. Maybe. Plug you in there. Oh, one of the little footsies on my tripod fell off. Oh no. This will be fun switching cameras, by the way, because I have to kind of like go all the way around unless, okay, let me put this light on the other side so it's a little easier to get. Okay. I think that's better. That seems more illuminated. What y'all think? A little more illuminated? Seems illuminated. Seems illuminated. Let me see if I can get back here. It just kind of sucked having to walk all the way back this way, but that's okay. It is what it is. But, you know, you can see the anvil. You can see well, you can't see that power hammer, but you can see this one. So if I should use the power hammer, which I don't think I'm going to, but if I do, you can at least see it. So, I'm going to ramble for a minute because that's how I do. I ain't scared. Paul and myself went over to Bar Run Forge on Saturday as the gathering was taking place and had ourselves a grand old time. Did not have a grand drive home. That kind of sucked, I'll be honest. It was like 1:30 in the morning or something like that. That part sucked. But the rest was great. But that part sucked. Hey, Jeff Killian. Hey, Ed. I was just bringing up the gathering over at Bar Run Forge. And they had a raffle and an iron in a hat, which I was not aware of. Otherwise, Paul and I would have been a little bit more prepared to bring something for iron in the hat. And we probably still would have did what we did with the raffle. However, likely we would have had it forged before we got there. But because we were not prepared, we wrote down on a billet, Paul wrote on a billet, hammer, rounding hammer forged by Paul and myself. Paul directed that hammer, and I struck. And Jeff Killian was the winner of that hammer. We also forged a big upset flower, and we gave that to Troy as kind of, we were here kind of a thing, right? We've been doing that a bit. Anytime we go someplace new, we'll do something similar to that. We did this, I think this is the one we did at Warriors Way. back in November. So I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure this was PK, me, Steve King. So yeah, this was Warrior's Way. So we did one of these and left one of these there too. And we did the same and left one with Troy. And while we were doing that, Jeff's lovely wife was watching us. And I felt kind of bad that we weren't really prepared to make a second one of those. Otherwise, I would have given it to her. So, because that being what it was, we have once before Saturday, we forged one of these ginormous horse heads. This one was done a little bit differently. We did this over at Warrior's Way. And lessons learned on this one, I feel like the one we did over Bar Run Forge at the Gathering, I feel like was better. So we gave that to Jeff's wife. And it's got a pretty hefty chunk of stock on the back end, plenty there if they wanted to turn that into some like, back plate for some hooks or whatever. I think whatever, I don't know what the grand finale for that thing is going to be, but that's what we ended up doing. And we had made some specialized tooling, which are not out right now. I don't think so. We made a couple of chisels. Well, I guess they're technically it's a chisel. We made an eye punch, with the teardrop style eye punch, and a nose punch, which are technically chisels. And it was the only things specialized that we used. And then for the fuller, we used a standard top fuller that we use when we're forging hammers. I would like to make a smaller one and a curved one, I think, with a slight more curve to it. I think would allow us to do some things that was a little more difficult. But it worked. So, but it's one of those evolving processes, So as we do one thing, we learn some stuff that we want to try. And I don't know if necessarily we learn some stuff, but we want to try a couple of different things. So in this particular flower case, and let me go grab that again and I'll show you what we do. And I actually have a preform started on one. And this was one I was just playing with, I think. I don't remember where this came about, but anyways, I will show you guys, make sure it's in frame and the camera thing. But so on this one, for instance, Paul ended up while we were there at Warrior's Way, he forged a ring to put under this when we put it in the Hardy. So there was a ring here. So as we fullered this down, it had a way to drop a little bit. And that gave an interesting effect. I don't know how well that shows up on camera. But it's kind of cool. At least I thought so. I'm going to go put this back. And then I'll show you the preform. And I'll grab this because I think this helps explain it a little bit. And I think, let me switch cameras real quick. Let's see how this view looks. So what we do is we'll take a piece that we'll get the Hardy started on this. We'll usually have this ready to go. So we'll forge this down into Hardy, and it's 1.5 inches or 1.25 inches. I think that particular piece was 1.25 inches. Kind of depends on what we're shooting for. Most of the flowers are 1.25 inches. So we'll forge the Hardy shank down, then we'll get it where we can get it in, and then we'll set it into that Hardy, and then what we'll do is we'll upset 3.5 inches of that material down and try to get around. Now, we don't typically round it from there like you would do a typical cupping tool. But in the process of forging it down, as long as you keep it controlled, you can keep it pretty round, typically. Not perfect, but we did a good job. And it was just Paul and I that upset it down. And then once we get it to this stage, what we do is forge it hex, right? So we'll come in and the director will, present, and we'll usually use a set hammer up here, and blah, 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 go around, get a nice little hex. And once we do that, what typically happens is it will start to fish lip on you. And on a cupping tool, you kind of want that. It helps give you this, and it also helps you find the center a little easier, I found. So you want to promote that, and then you'll kind of insert your top ball fuller and continue to forge that down, and then come over with a flatter to kind of even things up, even things out, and just kind of go back and forth. Hence, cupping tool made. So in this particular one that we did at the gathering, we did the same thing, but we hexed it, but we left the lipping because it kind of started lipping on us. So it's almost like a hexed cupping tool in a way. And I said, hey, we should leave that. Let's use that to our advantage and see what we can get. What do you know what the kids are saying? F-O, F-O, fo-fo. Y'all know those words, right? So that's what we did. So once you get it to this stage, what we did is we came in with a chisel and chiseled. I am personally a fan, and I borrowed this from Dave Custer. Normally what we do on the hex is chisel these lines between the peaks of the hex. But Dave did one flower once, and he used the peaks where he chiseled. So I was like, I like that. That's pretty cool. This is not the greatest chisel work I think I've ever done, but it'll work. It'll do the thing. So we chiseled these peaks in, and then what you do is you just chisel in a little closer, a little closer, a little closer, a little closer. You can reduce this section here. And then we have a round eye punch that goes in there. Actually, I have that right here. So we made this round eye punch top tool. And what we'll do is we'll come in as the director will drop that in, seat that thing down. And we'll usually do this at a relatively low heat. So bring this back, and then you just rock this into place until you've got it centered. And then what we'll do is tap it and look and make sure that we're where we want to be. And then hit, turn, bring it out, reset, hit, take it out, rotate again, and back, just like any other punching or round thing, right? You want to keep this moving. Because if there's any irregularities here, they will kind of balance themselves out. So that's what we'll do. So we'll do that here. Hit that boom, and then once we've established the centerpiece of the flower, then we'll start using a ball fuller on the petals and bring these in. Now, I do this a little differently than Paul does, or at least the first time I did it. But when the director is directing, I let them direct for the most part. I throw ideas out, but for the most part. How I would typically do this, on this particular one, I could get away with a bigger ball fuller, I think. But this one, what I would do is I would start it, get a tap to make sure that's where I want it, do any adjustments I need to, and I would ask my striker to be over here and present it like this. So what it's going to do is it's going to drive it down, but it's also going to force material up that way. And then the same thing, as you go around. Really? So I hope you can still hear me, but we'll go around for each one. And what that will do is form a hex inside here. if you get it right. Let me see if I got one over here to show. Not really. I don't know. That one might have stayed at the IVA last year. I don't remember. I'm trying to walk away from the compressor. So while that's running and doing its thing, hopefully you can still hear me out here. You know what I ought to do one day is set up the stream outside, see if I can pull that off, because it is kind of nice. But I'd have to figure out, like, you know, running cables and all that crap. But it would be kind of cool. And I think the overall audio takes on a whole new life, right? Because you don't have all that background echo and stuff going on. So the compressor's finally shut its face and come back in. I need to put that on a timer and have just stop. Anyways, once we get that established, then we'll walk the ball folder back out and then forge out the pedals. And then sometimes we'll center punch, you know, put the little dots in the middle of the flower thingy. Last year, I think Paul made like a sunflower one, because he needed or wanted to make a big sunflower. So he made a sunflower seed punch, which was pretty cool. No, Ken Foster, I was not on camera. I had walked out because the air compressor was going. So back to, I'm gonna go put this up. And then we'll get going here in a bit. And I'll tell you what shenanigans I'm up to so you can log off and get out of here so you don't have to deal with it. Or tune in and pay attention, whichever comes first. So today, I hosted a group of young men who are Eagle Scout dudes. You know, like, I don't know I don't know anything about that organization, or Boy Scout dudes, Scout dudes. Are they Scoutmasters? I don't know, but they're younger guys, but they're no longer considered Boy Scouts per se. And they're gonna help their Boy Scout crew out with their metalworking merit badge, which included a list of, what did I do with that list? Hey, let me put my phone down real quick. It included a list of requirements. Oh, I know where I put it. I put it in my desk. So I'll come over here, or on my desk. And amongst those requirements were, let's see, basic things, right? Okay, name and describe the use of a blacksmith's basic tools, right? So we kind of went over the anvil. We talked about hammers and tongs and the various types of each one, as well as anvils, but didn't go into too much detail. There was a thing about making a sketch, which that's kind of self-explanatory. Using low carbon steel, at least 1/4 inch thick, perform the following exercises. Draw out by forging a taper. So they drew tapers. Some did better than others, but everybody did the thing, right? So that's one of the things you got to remember, right? So these are requirements to do the thing. They're not looking for beautification. They're not looking for full-blown blacksmithing 101. But, you know, so for all intent and purposes, that is a taper that one of the guys forged out using a quick and dirty, you know, quote unquote, lesson on how to do that. And then let's see what else is on there. Use the horn of the anvil by forging a U-shaped bend, which is one of these, essentially is what they did. We didn't cut the material down simply because well, one, there was no requirement on that. So I was like, hey, you can spend time cutting these down if you want, or just bend it. I also showed them that in a quarter inch material, bending cold is very doable and not that difficult to do. But using the horn, we did it cold, by the way, so we kept with those requirements. But you can heat it up too. It's just as easy. I also showed them, instead of the horn, that you can use jigs to do the same thing. There's just a simple pipe welded to angle iron for a way to secure it to the device. I don't know what size this is. Inch and maybe 2 inches, maybe. And it doesn't matter. But yeah, you can just get it hot, wrap it around the backside and pull it in, get the bars parallel. Easy peasy, right? So I showed them that as well. Form a decorative twist in a piece of square steel. So I didn't have any 1/4 inch square, and I also wanted to show them that, again, that is something that you can do cold or hot. So I don't know, I think maybe they went home with that one. I don't remember what happened to it, but be that as it may, it doesn't matter. I showed them how to put a simple twist in it, hot and cold, and the differences in those. And obviously one's a little different than the other. One could be more difficult. I think, though, with the appropriately sized twisting wrench, even a kid could do it. So that's all this is. It's just got a flat bar. I don't know what that is, 3/8 maybe? 1/4? I don't know, somewhere in there. But it's just got some flat bar, 1 inch flat bar. All I did was punch a hole on the end so I could hang it. I didn't get it this way. I bought this thing from somebody years ago. But it works fine. And it has no grabby teeth here. The only thing on this one, if I were to do anything to it, if I am so inclined, because I don't twist much, I would round these sharp edges over a little bit. That'd be the only thing I would do to this, really. But it worked fine, and I'll show you what I mean. I use these needle nose style vice grips here, right? And I think the other camera will show this better. But I use these needle nose style vice grips. And all I did was ground the teeth off and then round it over the edges. So I use this on bending jigs and scrolling jigs. So I'll clamp down on the material, set it to the appropriate size, clamp the material so I can bend it around without having to have a helper. And that won't mar up my material. That's why I do that. And then use the edge of the anvil to bend a L-shaped, to make an L-shaped bend. So I had told them the time that they had really wasn't conducive to some of the things I wanted to go over with them, but we got through their requirements. So I showed them how to rivet something together, although we didn't actually rivet anything because we were running out of time. So I just simply drilled this out and then put this 1/4 inch rivet in it. And, that was all there to that. But I told them, basically how to size these appropriately, what they needed to do. And they seemed to grasp that okay. Now on to what I showed them and what I had talked about as far as doing, my L got kind of distorted, but we could fix that. Yeah. Anyways, and I wanted to do this, which is what I'm going to work on tonight. This is just a keeper ring, like a key ring, right? And the idea is, and you can put all kinds of things, but for a fundamentals class, and I stole this from Roy, by the way, for a fundamentals class, the idea is you don't have to put the L in there. We did that to meet a requirement. That was why we put this L on the end here. I don't know how well you can see that, but so it's just a keeper ring. It's like, I don't know, a bit a full circle and a half. You know, and then you just put a hole in your piece and then pass it through here, and then boop, and then you can go hang it up. You know, whatever. So that's what the L was for. You can make these as fancy as you want. I made one that I kind of regretted, and I did not show them this because I did regret it after I did it, and I'll show you why here in a second. So here's what I mean by, like, us is just an L-shaped bend, right? You know, so boom. It doesn't need to be this long, by the way, but it just goes on the end of this. So here was the part I regretted. I had put a fancy little half penny scroll type thing on the end of this. And again, I don't know how well this is coming out. It doesn't really matter, I guess. But there's a little. Well, the problem is I had to open this hole up enough to allow that to pass through there. And I also put a little hanging hook thingy on there for some dumb reason. I don't know why I did that. But you could make them fancier or less fancy, whatever. It doesn't matter. But it comes on and off. I just had to open that hole. Not the greatest punched hole ever, but yeah, it'll go in there sometimes. And yeah, you can forge your pieces. So the idea here is, oh, it's grabbing me. So the idea here is you forge, I don't know, let's say a taper on the end of a bar. Punch it about 2.5 or so inches down from the end of your taper, and then cut it off just above that and put it on your ring. So now you have fundamental number 1, drawing a taper, square taper, and you put that on your keychain or your key ring. A still photo of, I look up and I see, what is going on? I look up and I can see me. You don't see me. I don't see me. What is going on over here? Fucking, I know what the problem is, guys. I know what the problem is. It's goddamned OBS again. Oh, this farking thing. I swear to fuck. I swear, man. Let's see this damn thing. Oh. So basically all this time I've been talking, but nobody's seen shit. And I thought Jeff was just chilling, and I thought Ken was full of it. Ah. All right, well. Hey, Bill, no, I will not be using a window weight tonight. I do apologize. I know it's an advanced 40-year-old technique, but I will not be using that. Can you guys see the anvil now? Can you see my hand now? Can you see me now? I'm not going back through all that, but feel free to tell me what you want me to go back through, and I will go through it fairly quickly. Oh man, I swear to God, OBS makes me want to throw shit at people. Mostly anybody that has anything to do with OBS in creation of. been trying to figure out why I keep forgetting this particular yellow lighter, and I finally realized it's empty. So here's what we do with that. Throw it not in the trash, but towards the trash. Apparently one of the dogs is refusing to come back into the house. So if you hear somebody yelling for Benny, that's what that's about. Benny the dirtbag has decided he's not coming back in right now. Okay, so you guys do see everything now. All right, so back to the fundamentals thing that I straight stole from Roy. We've got the keeper ring. I'm gonna switch to the anvil cam because I think it's easier to see what's going on in my brain. So this is just a keeper ring. So we'll forge a piece, drill and or punch it, cut it off, and attach it to our ring. It's as simple as that. You can make one, you can forge this over the horn if you want. I did not do that because my bending jig is essentially perfectly sized for this length of material. This is just 1/8 inch welding rod, and I just beat the flux off of it. I beat the flux out of it, and it doesn't take much. You just kind of go around it, knocked it off, and this stuff readily bends. You know, it does not take much to bend this. You can get it hot if you want to, but there's absolutely no real reason to. As long as you maintain tension, clamp this with a good clamp, you know, set of like vice grips. Clamp this on that circle jig, clamp it, maintain tension. As you go around, do not let off the tension. Maintain tension the entire time that you're going around. You won't be able likely to get this all the way around that jig flat, you know, and up against the radius. Once you get down to here, it gets a little difficult, which is fine. But once you get to that point, once you get to like as far as you can get, then you can let go. It'll spring open. You just lift it off of there. It's not going to be 2 inch or whatever. It wouldn't have been 2 inch anyways. If it's 2 inch round and you put something around it, it would have been 2 1/4. This would have had a 2 1/4 inch diameter, inner diameter on it, based off of the you know, the material size, right? But anyways, it doesn't matter. So once you get it there, you can come over the horn and just true up the stuff you didn't get. And then a lot of times what you'll see is I have an exaggerated form of that. Well, it's not that exaggerated. But you can see this gap, right? I think there's a gap here. This gap is fine because it's just on the wrong side. If you're going to have this gap, it would be better to have it over here, not here, because then it makes it easier to get your piece on. But what you can do in your forge is heat this up and then grab it with a pair of tongs, right? Grab it, close it, and quench it in the closed position, and then voila, done. But I like these rings on one end just a little bit already opened up, because it makes putting stuff on it a little easier. Not that it's hard to open these, but it does make it a little easier. So what we're going to do, I'm going to cut this off so I can prove to the world that I actually did do this. Now, I will say, well, I think that punch comes out to right at 1/4 inch. So I'll try one, and if I don't like it, I'll likely end up drilling this. Actually, in the class I did with Roy, I'm pretty sure we drilled ours. We used, I think 1/8 inch rods for the same thing. It could have been smaller, but not much. But I'm going to cut that off. So Roy's favorite machine, I'm going to turn it on right now, which means Roy's about to show up, guys. There's probably at least 100 ways to draw a taper. Some of them are not optimal, and some of them are whatever. I think my way might be whatever, but who knows? There's absolutely no need to blow all the way through that. Just wring it off. So I'll go grab a pair of tongs. Not the best size for this, but grab a hold of it, twist it off of there. There's no need to blow through that. So I'm gonna quench that piece off, and I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna come over here to my little scrap bin and chuck it in my little scrap bin. Now I don't have to worry about stepping on it out here when I'm wearing my Hey Dudes and stab myself in the toe. I don't have to worry about, you know, a cute little bunny rabbit running through in here and stepping on that and spiking himself. He'll be safe. I'll be safe. We'll all be safe. So I'm gonna go put my tools away. Okay. I have found a completely awesome and new use for a hammer, guys. Well, a hammer billet. Check this out. Trust me, you're going to be wowed. 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 Why even make this anything other than a sweet, sweet, sweet cigar rest? Look at that. Huh? Yeah, it's like it was made for that. So let me get this piece of 1/2 inch square stock, mild steel, hot, and we'll forge a taper on the end here. I'm glad that getting the more air into the fire pot resolved that issue for you, man. Nothing's more frustrating when you can't get your forge to do the thing, right? So everybody here has seen a taper forged, correct? So I'm not right now. I'm just going to switch to the big camera. I don't know how well this shows up on the big camera. I'm trying to see. I can see the anvil. Would it be better if it were in a different spot, maybe? I can't really make it any higher, I don't think. No, I can't take it any taller. The best I can hope to do is relocate this. Let me try this. What do you guys think about the Anvil cam? Oh, hey, look, the footsie. I forgot about the footsie of Anvil cam has fallen off. That was awesome. Let me put that back on. I don't think it really needs it right now, but at least put it somewhere where I won't lose it. So I don't know if I can probably back this up and then just zoom in to where I want to be. Maybe, yeah, but I'm gonna have to raise this up. Oh, raising this thing up is kind of a pain in my butt, y'all. Well, let me try this. Let's see if this works. How's that? Is that better? That view? And what about main cam? Is that any better? I'm sort of here. We have the two youngest grand monkeys. Uh-oh. Sounds fun. So, main cam. Can you guys see that well enough? Is that good enough? I know that there's a microphone in the frame, but you know, you'll get over it. I don't know if I can back this up anymore. Let me see. But I can probably come back to about here. That's about as far away as I can get this Anvil cam. But I still want you guys to be able to see what's going on. Whoops. I pressed buttons, didn't mean to. All right. So how does that look? Let's look at number 2. Number 2 looking okay. There's crap on the screen now that should not be there. I don't know if I can make that go away because I don't know what the hell button I just pushed while I was moving stuff. That's why I don't like moving this stuff. All right. I think that stuff's just going to have to stay for now because I am not really trying to mess with it. Okay? I think it's good enough. Good enough. So we got a decent view there. This is what I'm going to leave it on while I forge. This taper. Not hot. And get my hot cut back on the anvil. Not mounted. Man, I'm feeling the dinner, man. I am stuffed. Whoa. So I'm gonna get this hot. You know, like really hot. Actually, you know what? I might switch to the camera. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. I think I'm gonna have to switch. So. That's one way to make a taper. Or you know what? Now I'm thinking about it. Brian, I believe it's a members only video right now, just released a video on doing this in much more artfully and masterfully than I am going to show you. But as you forge this down, and he actually gives great descriptions and explanations, on some of this stuff and what you're doing and why you're doing it, right? So that is a pretty damn decent square taper, if I don't say so myself. But it needs a good little rack right there and one right there. I could see it was not quite, but we have a square taper. So I'm going to switch to the other camera just so I can see and see how things look before we move too far forward. So, pretty square taper, yeah? You can see, looks like I got a pretty good shine all the way across that, all the way down that. Now I'm going to round this taper up mostly because I want to see how it looks. Okay. Okay. So that tells me my end, not only was my end not very perfectly square because it went wonky, but I was also holding it wonky. But something we were talking about with the younger guys this afternoon, and I'll show you guys, was forging round. How do you forge round? Square, octagon, round, right? There are other approaches, but that is the most common. So that's what I showed them. So one of the things you can do, once you forge this octagon, is look at your facets. Are they even? And if your facets on each side are not relatively the same, you do not have a true octagon. You have kind of an octagon. Or as I refer to wonky shapes like that, that would be considered a what the fuck-agon. So I'll come back. This side's high. I can see it. So I want to now. I don't typically, it's kind of funny, I do not typically round like this anymore. Not like this. But now I can kind of see down here and see it's not perfect, but it's a lot closer now that my facets are all closely in the same region. So close enough for me. So now I'm going to forge this round. So because it's a fundamental thing, right? Not only do I want to know that you can forge a square taper, I also want to know that you can forge a round taper. Well, guess what? You can't really do one without the other. You kind of can, but you can't, right? But I'm just going to go through here and just start rounding that up. And I'm trying to keep my hammer and piece in the same spots and keep it even. You do not have to spend as much time on it, but I'm doing it. I figure I might as well make it look nice, right? Or not to the best of my ability, but good enough, presentable, that I wouldn't feel embarrassed to show people this piece when I'm done with it. I might be embarrassed about showing this video, but it is what it is, right? And then I'll start working down towards the tip, lighter as I go, because this end does not require a whole lot of beating. There's not a whole lot there. If anything, could use a little more heat. It look okay to you guys? Does it pass? Oh man, I hope so. Oh man, do I hope so. So this end is kind of I don't know. Wasn't very good. So I'm going to try to clean that up a little bit. roundish. It would not take much to clean that. Now, I know Brian's on. But I'm going to show this anyways because I think there's some merit to it. If you want to really clean this up and make it look nice, well, you can hammer it well and get it there, right? You can focus on that. But a quick and easy cheat. Get it back up. You don't have to get it screaming hot. Just get it hot. And Mark Asprey has shown this several times, but it does leave a nice look. So all you got to do, get your rasp out, use the file side, I guess, or whatever, and you can just kind of go over it and keep this moving as you go. And it really kind of cleans it up. There's not going to be a whole lot going on in this because I did a damn good job, I think. You can feel it when it's grabbing something too. But you do not need to do this. You can get all of this with your hammer. But it just leaves a nice, clean, smooth finish. So there we got a round taper on the end of a piece. So what we'll do next is first I'm going to grab a holt of it. A holt. Not a hold, but a holt. And I'm going to come over here and quench this off because the bar is starting to get a little warm. And it's about to go between my legs at some point. And, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I don't like hot steel between my legs. I mean, I'm not judging if that's your thing. You know, you do the thing, chicken wing, but I ain't judging. So, I want to punch this now. Now, I do not typically care for round bottom punches, but I made an exception in this particular case because of my own shortcomings. I could not, for the life of me, grind the bevel I wanted on this, and I know you guys can't see it, but it's typically got like a blunt, you know, like more of a, it almost looks like a center punch, but it's not, but it's more shallow. Do I have something like an example right here? I do not. I didn't even think about that earlier. But trust me, it's a thing. But so because of that, I don't typically use these flat style, but I'm using one in this case because I just could not get this grind because it's so small. I was having problems seeing it, and I can't get new glasses. Well, I guess I could, but my eye appointment isn't until frickin' September. And I have a smaller punch over here, which I'm going to use. But again, same basic problem here, where I was struggling just because I couldn't see the damn thing. So I'm going to come to this side, and I'm going to try to get this into the center. Sometimes that is easier said than done when I can't actually see what I'm doing. But I'm going to bring this up, I don't know, right about here. That looks centered. So put a little mark there. Centered-ish. A little more heat, put a better mark in there. But I'm not going to get it super hot. I just want to be able to mark it, because especially on this half-inch stock, man, let me tell you, it's like the bane of my existence. Nope, it's too far this way. So I'm going to try to correct. That's better. Okay. We'll find out how off I am It looks better. Yeah, I definitely prefer the round punch with a beveled kind of V-point style bevel on the end of it, but it's round, almost like a center punch. I prefer that style. Maybe it's just because it's almost basically what I started with. So now these to me just seem so foreign, but we can make it work, right? I hope. Still looks okay. Looking at it, I'm seeing it. Still looks okay to me. So let's see if we can get through it. And then I'll punch this real quick, and then I will cut it off and put a little finish on it. Or actually, I'll put a little finish on it, cut it off, and then finish the finish. I'll have to hold it with tongs to do that. But so I feel like it's got a little bit more juice, a little bit more meat on this side. So I'm kind of, hey, get off of there. Trying to compensate a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely not going to be perfect. I can already see it. Taking shape. Ain't terrible, but it ain't great. So this is telling me Rob needs to practice punching small stock again. I went through a phase where I was doing the TV trays and got much better at it. And honestly, I feel I have gotten to a point where I tend to favor slot punching versus this. I don't know. I feel like I control it better. If that makes any sense. But you still need to be able to do this. Sure helps to be able to do it straight. There, right the angle. Oh, hey. Slug came out. Did not mushroom the punch. It definitely got hot. But you can see where it's off. So this side looks better, so I'm going to start from here to see if I can correct that a bit. I'm just going to run a smaller drift through there. I was hoping to avoid this step because I don't have, well, do I? I thought I had a little 1/4-inch drift around here somewhere. So let me switch to the big camera while I walk around like an idiot looking for stuff that I had moments ago. Okay, where did that drift go? I need a little can specifically for smaller drifts because this can's so big that when they fall down in there, so it's like they fall into Never Never Land and are to never be seen again. Okay. Got that big swell there, no swell there. I do not really have a good way of fixing that, but what I can do is kind of favor the heat on one side or the other using the induction forge. It's a little trickier than just quenching off the one thin side, but it can be done. But to be honest, I'm not overly worried about it on this piece. Hell, I don't even see my drift. Which I thought was sitting right here, unless it fell down. Ugh. Okay, got my little bullet. The little bullet is too big. My little bullet is a little too big. My slot opener is too big. This slot opener might be okay. Nope, too big. Apparently I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have a drift making day and make some more drifts. Not today. That ain't pretty, but you know what? It'll do the thing. Okay, so let me heat up the thicker side, maybe. This thing is bent, but I'm going for it. I ain't scared. There we go. Get that out of there. Yeah. Open that up a little bit more. So I'm gonna straighten that while I'm here. All right, let go. No, way back here. That's probably where the other ones are. Okay. Hope y'all like looking at my butt. Okay, let's open that up a little bit more. I do not like that drift, but I can at least get this one in there now. Getting better. The problem is until I get that through there, I'm gonna have to deal with that. I might, because it's only pushing out on the top, I need to get it through. But every time it pushes out a little bit more, it gets a little easier to heat that side up in this thing. And I'm hoping I can get through it this time and fix both sides. We shall see. Gets cold quick though. And the problem with that is I have no idea where that went. It's probably what happened to the last one. That's okay. Almost through there. And I don't know what this is. 3/8. Maybe half. No. But I think I'm close enough. Yeah, there is now a hole in it. Not the greatest hole, but a hole nonetheless. I got pretty thin on this side. Good thing it's not structural by any stretch. I need to fix the. It's not in line anymore, as if it ever was. I'm gonna need that drift though. I'm gonna need it if I can find something to pick it up with. Just gonna go ahead and get this whole thing hot now. Oh, it feels weird to work from that side. All right, there. Round taper on my doodad. Look at that. I'll cut that off. I'll put a little finish on this end because it doesn't need to get hot anymore. Still a little hot. Give it a chance to cool down while I read some comments. Robert Lana says, "What's up, Rob? What's up, man?" I'm gonna switch to the anvil cam. Duck Rabbit Forging, hey. Over by the green bucket. Is that where that drift went? I'll have to go check that. I typically used to, and I've gotten lazy, but anytime I made a drift in a certain size, I always made 3 because of that. You know, I'd have to go find one, so it's just nice to have spares just ready to go. And then I have gotten super lazy about that. So I will probably have to go back over this hole after I cut this, but that's okay. Might as well just grab it while I'm here. But as you can see, it's putting a really nice finish on there right now. And then I'll cut it up in here somewhere. Like I said, I'll have to redo that part, but should be okay with the rest. Should be. This is getting warm, so I'm going to cool it off real quick. Yeah. Grab a pair of tongy tongs. Ouch. Ouch. It's stabbing me. Okay, let's cool that off. Much Bator. Least favorite, fixing off center holes. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I know a guy that'll tell you if you want it perfect, make it perfect. Well, I'll tell you what, he makes that shit sound a lot easier than it really is. He makes it look that way too. Maybe when I've got the same amount of time in, I probably still suck, but that's okay. So I'm going to cut this off just above that hole. And like I said, if you have a little can on some level ground, this is a lot easier because you get that little bubble. If you fill it all the way up, you get a little bubble, the meniscus forms, and that's a lot easier to do. But man, it is, when you get like the 1/2 inch and below, it is so easy to get off from center. For me, it is. I can't speak for anybody else but me. So I'm going to cut this off right about here. It's more material than I'd really care to leave, but it is what it is. Now I'm tilting my hammer kind of away from the hole so I'm not smacking it. Much, but it's still big enough to go through. It doesn't look like I hit it, so it'll go through my little ring. All right. So you hadn't burnt off half that finish. That's okay. It went on once, it'll go on again. let's see. I'll grab this with this pair of tongs. Are we on this camera? Yeah. So I'll just come over here, see how we're looking. Still a little hot. Get it closer. There we go. I'm just gonna quick dip it. Help cool it down a little bit more. That's better. So I'll put this on my ring. Word. What? As soon as I find my ring, I'll put this on my ring, and then I'm just gonna put it on my generic ring. Now I'm gonna get a better grab on this, so I'm not burning myself. Probably should just wait if I was a smart man, but I have never claimed to be a smart guy. Smarter than some, at least. So there's the first piece on there, right? That's all you got to do. You just do each little piece like this, and then you keep it. And then here would be a suggestion I would make. First, don't watch this stream. Go watch Roy Adams's video. I'm pretty sure he's got a whole series of videos on doing this. If not, I thought he did, but we did a class with Roy and we did these. So this is where this idea came from. So you do each fundamental and then put it on the ring. So then when you get this one done, then you go back to it next year and do another one and then compare them. And I think you will find, do the best you can, obviously, but when you go back to the next one, you might find your damned hole centered. Who knows? Or by the time you get to the last piece on this, same thing. Then, you might find that by the time you get done with 7 pieces, or whatever, 6 technically, 6 pieces, you might find that your holes are lining up better. So I'm going to quench this whole thing off because it's getting warm. So one of the next items on the fundamentals, which I kind of personally, it's whatever, but I just find it like, really, that's a fundamental, that's a fundamental, really, that twisting. I don't do much in the way of twisting. It's just not, it's whatever. So we did number 2, punching. So we punched a hole. So we've drawn out and done number 2, punching a hole. So if you wanted to, from here on out, if you punched a perfect hole, shoot and see how many you can do. Or just drill the hole and put it on your ring. It's whatever. But you've got, as long as you did that, now you've punched. So the next one is cutting and splitting. So separate material. By cutting it off of this bar, we have done that. So again, that's another thing that's checked off the list. So we've just from one piece, we've done 3 of the forging fundamentals. The next one is forge welding, right? So that should be easy peasy enough, one would think. So here's a cheat. No, I'm kidding. That's not a cheat. But forge welding. I'm going to do it for this piece, but I'll show you. Let me grab a project piece I was doing. Honestly, I can't remember what's got me down this path to do this, but I need to finish it. Maybe I'll work on that tonight at some point. So this is a fire poker that I started out of 7/8 bar. I think it's 7/8, might be an inch. Right, so I started it out of that round bar for a very particular reason. It is rhombus to all Jiminy Christmas. Look at that rhombus on there. You guys probably can't tell as much as I can, but so that's the most twisting I had done in a while. So I put that little twist on there. Let me try to get it in the light maybe a little bit better. But there's a forge weld on the end of this that I drew out. And I've got the little hooky dingy. I don't know. And then, so the reason I started with this, there's other ways to do this, but I wanted to do it this way. 7/8 was, I'm going to cut this, I don't know, right, I'm going the wrong direction. I'm going to cut it right about up in here somewhere, and then I'll forge this down into a hex ball. And then I'll finish this up at some point and clean this up. This is going to taper out a lot more, but I'll fix that. But I don't know. I don't. The more I think about it, the more I don't want to mess with this tonight. I'm just not in the mood for it. It was one of those things where it was like just spur of the moment, like, oh, I'll make a fire poker, and it's been sitting for about 3 weeks now. Is that handle a butt weld? No. That was all 7/8 bar. Started at 7/8. Forged out square to whatever 3/8 maybe on the end originally, and folded over and forged onto itself. And then I forged, I forged out to more of that, and then I at the top hook, and then folded it over, and then and there's videos on how to do that. I think I don't know that I did it right, but that's how I did it. True, Brian. You don't actually say easy. It's just the way it comes out of your mouth. It sure sounds like, oh, well, shit, that's going to be easy. And then you go to do it. It's like, well, shit, that wasn't easy. My favorite, I don't know, I think I have told this story, at least in public, around some friends, but I don't know if I've ever mentioned it on stream before. One of my very first classes with Brian was a hammer making class, and we were doing something, but he was showing me how to draw something out, I think, if I recall, and he said, I was doing the thing, and I was like, well, I don't understand how to do block. I don't remember the details, right? And I was like, well, I don't really understand how to, and he said to me, well, you need to hit it right there. So I came out. Now, mind you, I didn't have any hammer control. My aim was terrible. Still kind of is, maybe. And I hit it here. And he looked at me and he goes, why did you hit it there? Almost as if I did it on purpose. It was pretty hilarious. It's like, well, I don't know. And he walked away and said, you might want to work on that. And that's when I knew I was going to get along with him, because that's my kind of sense of humor. And I don't even know if that's how he meant it, but to me, that's how I took it. That's my kind of sense of humor. So there's that. Oh, we got to do a twist, right? And try to monkey fuck another hole. Hey, Roy. Well, I think I'm butchering your fundamentals forging class that we did. I don't know what the hell I did with that piece. It's right here. But you think you remember, and I was saying I thought you had a a series of videos on doing the forging fundamentals. I don't know if it included the ring or not. I know in the class we did the ring. So I had a group of guys come out today, and I thought this would be a fun thing for them to work on, and we ended up not doing it. And because of that, I thought, well, I was ready to go. And I said, well, I haven't done it in a long time myself, so let's do it. So I was just commenting on how this piece right here, this one piece, actually satisfies 3 of the forging fundamentals. You have, and I've put round taper in there as a fundamental. So you have to forge square, octagon, round. You could do those all individually, but you really, for the most part, aren't getting here without those, in my opinion. There's a couple other things you could do, but in the long game, it's the same thing, just slightly different. But you've also punched a hole, and you have cut the material, and it's still a little warm, but not too bad. And I cut this off the bar, so by that, because me being lazy and bending rules, I have met, oh, that won't focus. Maybe if I do this. Maybe if I do this. It still will not focus on that. Too close. But you guys know what I'm saying. Hear me. Oh, yeah, I just ran into my vice, y'all. So there's that. So there's that rule ring. In theory, technically speaking, as far as the descriptions go, that meets 3 of the forging fundamental criteria. You've got a taper, you've got a punched hole, and this piece has been cut from its original bar. So now we're gonna put a sweet twist on something, because twisting, woo, is really not one of my favorite things to do. It was cool the first couple times I did it, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm over it. And I think I'm over it because some of the guys that I was around originally, they would put a twist down a 3-foot long bar, the whole 3 feet, every single time. And I got to the point where I was like, I just got sick of seeing it. Like literally just was like, I can't take this anymore. But it's cool. I mean, there's some things that you can do with twists that are really cool. Yes, and I put a finish on it. And I think by putting a finish on it, somebody tried to tell me that putting a finish on it will hide things. I have found that not to be true at all, honestly. I have found that by putting a finish on something, it really makes things stand out a lot more. It tends to grab the light more. Those little facets tend to capture the light, and reflect the light better. Just my experience with it. Let me see. This bar will be decorated with a twist, y'all. I have a twisting wrench. I'm going to use it. Hey, Roy's favorite sound in the universe. I'm just going to put whatever this heat puts on it. Oh, I have not. No, I'm not going to. I don't know anything about twists, like fancy twists. But my first thought is like, oh, I have a dumb idea. We'll just keep it as an idea. How about that? So I'm gonna come over here. I don't know if you guys can see. Nope, you cannot. Sorry. I didn't think about that when I set the camera up earlier. Trust me, I'm twisting the thing. Well, I'm not yet. But I am now. Right. I don't know. Well, that was a bad twist. There was a hammer in my way. But that's okay, we can fix it. On camera. We're all gold darn camera. So, I'll let you guys see where we're at with that. So this is what happens when there's a hammer in the way and you move instead of moving the hammer. You get that. So I got a stump right here. I don't know, I'll put it on the big camera again. I don't know if you guys can see this stump or not. I'm gonna go get my wooden mallet. I love this thing, by the way. It's got a cast iron body and replaceable faces. There are other ways to fix this. You can use your vise and put it on the bias or the diamond and then come in and then true it up from there. But you do run the risk of marring it a little bit that way, so you got to be careful. If you're a Neanderthal like me, you will almost always mar it up by doing that. The trick is next time there's something in your way, one, clear the area, come back, reheat your piece, and go back and try again. Or if you can get to it quickly, move it out of the way quickly. Don't move the piece out of the way while you're twisting it. Otherwise you get, that, those crazy roads out in the middle of the country that like are just inexplicably just have a turn that make no sense? Yeah, that's kind of what happened here. So, we're gonna come over here. And then I'll brush it, because I don't need to get this that hot again. There we go, twist. You guys can't really see it, I guess. How about this? Not so much. Let's go back to this one. Twist, yeah? Fairly even twist. You can control that to a degree by quenching off whichever side is twisting faster than the other. Really, what I have found works the best for me is get a nice even heat, and that helps tremendously. Hey, why don't you shut up? I said shut up. So yeah, a twist. I do not do these very often, by the way. It's just not a thing that I typically do. Yeah, that is not going to focus. Manual focus, Rob. Manual focus. Derp-a-derp. Now, I might be able to put more light into this situation. At least temporarily. Oh yeah, I bet you that helps, huh? Twist. Yay, twist. Let me cool this off. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that was duck brand duct tape. This yellow and purple. Can you guys see that? I put this on when I first started. This tape has been on there for like, 6 years at least at this point. I've actually tried to get it off without getting it hot, and that stuff is on there. I don't even put these colors. I just went straight purple, pink, the no hunting purple, and then even that I just stopped using because I know what my stuff is. So in this one, I am not going to, you know what? I'm not, oh, to hell with it, I will. I'll punch it. Let me see if I can quench this off and then see if I can hold it between my legs without too much effort. I think ain't ideal, but I think I can make that work. I might have another pair of tongs that'll hold this up. Vetor. No. Okay. Okay. I feel like I should put a glove on for this. I have a really dumb idea, which I just might do. We'll see. Let me get a glove though, because I have a feeling this is going to jump on me because I'm not really holding it. Don't do the things I do, y'all. I'm kind of a big dummy. I think I like burning myself, or I just really like putting pine tar on myself. Maybe that's what it is. Okay, get back to my hole. Pull this off real quick. Now I'm gonna get this hot and I'm gonna swap hammers. Going for the big boy. All right now looks pretty even. Let's see if I can keep it that way. quench this off real quick. It ain't nowhere near down enough. I'm just gonna get it hot again. One of the things I love about this thing, I can just put it in here and 10 seconds later, my liar at 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I could go from here, but I'm gonna get a little hotter. 15 seconds. 15 seconds later, look at that. Look at that, much better this time. Can you see that? Maybe if I do it this way. And there is the plug, the slug, the biscuit, whatever you call them. I don't like throwing these on the ground because this is concrete. I'll just have to pick the damn thing up again later. So I get rid of them. And I either a little scrap bin, or I got a little can over there. That one did not make the can. It made it into my quench tank, but that's fine. I don't dump that out in the road or anything. So because of how I punched that, I got a little bit of marking right in here, but I don't care about that. That for this, what I'm doing is fine. Well, I'll do the same thing. I'll just cut this off. There's no substitute for power, y'all. That, the faintest amount of mushrooming on it though, so I might take that over to the grinder and fix it, or I might not, at least not right now. I should have switched hammers towards the end. I thought about it. I should have. A lot of things I should have done in my life. That was one of them. What else we got? Bending, upsetting, and spreading. I hate, by the way, I hate cutting square stock. Absolutely not my favorite thing in the world to do. But hey, look at there. We'll do the same thing. We'll put a finish on this too, because I mean, we did it once, right? I'll put my little tiny bar over there and then grab a pair of tongs I can actually hold this with, and I will grab the hot side, the hotter side. The front of this should be cool enough to take this finish without killing my rag. Yeah. still kind of hot. We'll go. Because it is still plenty hot, I'm just going to go ahead and take that hot cut out. Not that it's sharp enough to cut me, but it's in the way. Yeah. Good enough. When it's not in the direct light, it's a lot darker looking. Okay, I'm gonna give this a quick splish splash. Cool it down a little bit. I could have brushed this, I guess, but whatever. It's going on a doodad. Good enough for me. But I think this would be a good article for the IBA. So I think I'm going to do a little write-up on doing one of these. And then throw some shade, give some credit to Roy. But yeah, I'll give Roy credit because that's who I learned it from. So I think it's always a good thing to give folks credit for, if you've learned something from somebody, why wouldn't you give them credit? That makes no sense to me, but there's people out there, man. Now, there are certain things that I get after a while, right? You're drawing a tapered on a doodad. Well, how many times do I got to tell you that Brian Brazil taught me how to do this? But I'll do it. I don't have a problem doing it. But after a while, there's certain things that I think amongst some crowd, not everybody, some things are just obvious, right? But, those horse heads, to me all day long, definitely credit to Brian. Or the, those really stylized wolf heads my buddy Chase was doing for a little while. He gave credit to Jacob Ferrum where he got that from, and I think that's really cool. And I don't know that Jacob gets, he does within certain circles, but he's such a kind of a recluse that I don't think he gets quite as much attention as he, as a blacksmith, as he really commands, in my opinion. He does some really nice work. Another person that's kind of like that to a degree is not as much, but is Riley Kirkpatrick. While he's out there on the Instagrams and whatnot, yeah, but there's a lot of folks who really just don't know that name. But if they, I think if they took the time to appreciate some of the work that guy does, they might find some inspiration. But anyways, there's two pieces of my little ring. Now it's my ding-a-ling. So, if you have not listened to the Chuck Berry song, My Ding-a-ling, your homework tonight is to go listen to it. It is on YouTube and Spotify and Pandora or whatever you're into. You can find it. And you have not heard that song, you owe yourself that little jam. So this was in my drift box, so I'll break it out and show it off again. I think most of you have seen this before. I hit the wrong button there. I don't know what I did there. Oh. Trail Dust is going to bed already. Let's hit the big button. The big button. So this is my, what do you call these knots? A square knot, a lark's head knot. This is my square knot, lark's head knot, forge welded S-hook. This was fun. This was just an idea one day. I have since I came up with the stupid idea, I have since seen these because I went and looked and I found them. But this one has been hammered to a point that it can't come apart right now. But the first one I did not set these down so you could actually slide it in and out. But this one still moves a little bit. You hear that? But it does move a little bit. But it was a fun little experiment and play with an S-hook that I don't normally do. But you can see that it was forge welded, 2 pieces of forge welded, I don't know what that is, 1/4 inch square stock. I don't know how well, Jesus, lighting is the bane of my existence. But I don't know how well you can see these forge welds here. I was really quite happy with them. Very well centered in on both sides. And it blends in and disappears right about here on both the sides. I was very happy with this the turnout on that. So if you're ever stuck in a rut, man, you can do the same old thing, but do the same old thing differently, right? Like, okay, how can I do that? But how can I just throw a little curveball at that idea? You know, how can I make that just different enough that it tickles my funny bone? You know, I'm looking for my Gatorade. Oh, well, here's one. Covered in sawdust, but it has not been opened, so it will do. I'm going to do, because I'm cheating, I didn't see any rules. I didn't see no rules. Screw your rules. Rules, where we're going, we don't need rules. Yeah, give it some pizzazz, man. You know, just throw yourself into a little bit. You know, try something, do the same old thing, but throw a little bit of you at it and see what happens. You know, sometimes it's just an idea, and every once in a while, it's a pretty sweet idea. You know, and just play with it. Sometimes I am a terrible, I want to say artist. I don't even think I qualify for that. Drawing is not my forte. I'm terrible at it, man. My stick figures are even horrendous looking. But I will sit down. Graph paper, by the way, is your friend. I've seen hex paper, which is really cool too, but I need to order some. It's pretty, because you can do some pretty cool things with it. But graphing paper can really help, and stencils can really help with things. And draw out something and then see if you can forge it. Can be fun too. Just be mindful of what you're drawing and try to maintain, your drawing within your capabilities to a degree. If you're trying to do something and you can barely forge a taper, then then you might want to maintain a little bit of reality in there, but draw it out though. One twist I still want to make and haven't gotten around to yet is a Clayton knot. Yeah. I aspire to be able to yap for hours on end like this. Well, I mean, if my yapping bothers you, you can fuck right off. It's what, it's not, I don't care. I don't do this for you. I do this for me. Or you can stick around and listen to my yammering all you want. I don't give a shit one way or the other. But I won't take backhanded insults either without responding to them. That's just how I am. Don't want none, don't start none. That's kind of how I roll, But It's whatever. You don't like the yapping? You know where the door is. You're in my house. You don't like it? You can get the fuck out. Clayton. I actually don't mind whatever anybody says. Just be mindful. I will respond at times. That's just how I roll. What anvil is that? The anvil that we are looking at right now, that would be, or we're not on that camera, we'll move to that one. That is a Holland anvil. That is their double horn, 100-pound double horn. And its stand is probably, it's probably not quite 100 pounds, but it's on a tripod stand. P.S. Have I told you guys? Mark Asbury used my anvil for a demonstration all weekend long and gave me kudos. He especially liked how my anvil was dressed, and he loved my stand so much that I made him one for his demonstration at Abana. And Holland Anvil sent me the anvil so I could put together the stand specific to that anvil. And I forget who it was. They raffled it off at the end of Abana, and somebody won that. And I forgot to get that guy's name, but I'm sure he enjoys the anvil. I like it. The only thing I don't like about this anvil is I'm so used to a 2-inch wide face that it's very simple for me to lay my hammer up like that. And on this thing, it tends to rebound right off of it sometimes. It drives me nuts. So if I were to have a complaint, whoops, I forgot to move this back. Good. Well, maybe this way a little bit. There we go. Gooder? Okay. Let me swap back over to the main camera. This guy's been yapping and I've been getting into more than his work. Yeah, I'm not really doing anything. All that, all inspiring, trust me. But I thought this was something worthy for especially folks that are newer to forging. Creating one of these fundamental rings, I think, has got some value. And like I said, if you come back to it, do another one in a year after you did your first one, I think you'll see marked improvement. Let's see, forge welding, upsetting, bending, and spreading. Okay, bending. So I will cheese the hell out of that. And spreading. I'm going to cheese that too a little bit. I mean, I'm not cheesing it so much as I'm just not going to use 1/2-inch material for that. But I'll use 3/4 inch by quarter by 3/4. I will spread and bend this. And ooh, I could spread, bend, and potentially forge weld this. So let's do that. Can you guys see this anvil on the screen? It's hard to tell. Maybe I should pull it towards me a little bit. So I'll do that, just a hair. Yeah, so you can still see the primary work area here. So here's what we'll do. Nothing fancy. I will fold this over, forge weld it onto itself, and then cut it off the bar, flip it back around, and then spread 2 individual ends, and then bend each one away. Essentially like a tiny scroll. Actually, maybe 1/2-inch would be more appropriate for what I want to do. 1/2-inch flat bar. If I have a piece, I do. I do. Hey y'all, I do. So let's do that. Oh, my little, I was testing out a bending jig, and so far I like the basic. Let me switch to the other camera. Speed running the fundamentals. Yeah, we could say that. Minus the speed. So I got a piece of half by, or quarter by half here, and then I was just testing a bending jig, and I like the results, so I will keep my bending jig. Maybe a little tweaking, but for the most part, I'm pretty happy with it. So let me get this over here, and I'm going to save a little bit of this for something else. Then I'll cut it off. All right, I should move my little stand back over here. Makes holding these longer pieces in the forge, the induction forge, a little easier. Right. All right. Okay, so we're going to fold this over. As soon as I cool that off and put it down, and get out the magic pixie dust. I'm going to fold this over, I don't know, 3-ish inches or so. I'm not measuring this crap. Oh no. Good enough, yeah? Right there. Okay. Now, this is no precision job right here, obviously, right? Get out a little flux, put it in there where I intend to do the thing. Right. Well. So all I'm welding up is like not quite, maybe an inch right there. Induction forge welding. Induction forge welding. It's amazing how many people ask if you actually can forge weld in an induction forge, and it is so easy. I almost guarantee I didn't need flux, but I'm a cheater, man. I need all the help I can get. So I take it. A bit more of that, a little more where that came from. Don't try to take your diagonals if you haven't welded it. You will rip it apart, guaranteed. So, there we have it. while I have this, where I have this, I'm going to, why not, I'm going to punch it. But I'm going to make sure that weld is good and gooder. All right, while it's still relatively warm, go ahead and mark it. Get this piece hot. Hator. Hey y'all, let's see those fast ninja-like reflexes. Rick. Oh, it was off just a hair. Oh well. It's got a hole in it. There's no way that's small enough. There we go. That fell out like a little trap door. There we go. Didn't quite come off. I don't know how well you guys can see that little bit there, but just a little bit of rag on there. It was just a little bit off, but it is punched. And that's all I'm going to do with it. I'm not going to mess with it anymore beyond that. Now I'm going to cut this. But before I do that, try to close this up a little bit more. And line it up better than it currently is. I'm going to have to redrift this hole, but I'm okay with that. Actually, no, I'm going to do that now. And I'll just use, where did it go? Not you, you're way too big. Ah, I'll just use this guy. Go. And we have hole again. Ugly on one side, don't care. Mark this. So I've done, it's cheating. This is cheating. Let me just tell y'all now. I've done something like this before with a scroll, and these will not be the same size with how I did this. Right? They'll be close. But what you can do, once you get it, and you get it separated, and I'm just going to go straight through on one side on this one. But what you can do is take it to your grinder and true up both ends if you want them to be the same size. It's cheating, but it works. You know, the traditionalist dude out there is probably losing his mind right now. That's okay. It works. These tongs do not, however, work for that very well. I'm going to switch to these and see if these aren't a little bit better. Actually, these might be better. Yes, mucho better. So you can see one side's just a little bit longer than the other. So you can just go over to the grinder. Watch it. I'm not going to do it, but you can come over to the grinder and zip that to the same. For what I'm doing here, I have no need for them to be the same for what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So I'm going to do some unconventional stuff here. If you're You know, before I do that, let me come over here and look at what kind of crazy comments you guys are up to now. Oh, what have I missed? We did a drop tongue weld demo, 3/8 square. So after the demo, I did one, reheated it, and we twisted it right. The weld was to prove it was welded. So forging and fishing. As far as the induction forge beeping goes, you can it's two tiny wires you can snip, and problem solved. I mean, honestly, there is, outside of letting you know it's doing the thing, but you can see that, right? There is an alarm on it, and Cole Ironworks is actually working on a new version of this forge, and they were kind of fishing for suggestions. And I think what I would like to see personally is a light bar up here. And it doesn't have to be big, maybe, 1 inch tall with a flashing light with a shade or whatever that you could close if you don't want to see it. But think about the hearing impaired. If you turn this on without the cooler on, or if you have an alert down here, it will throw, let me show you. Let me turn the cooler off. So as soon as the cooler kicks off, this is going to lose its mind. Did I shut it off? That's important though. You don't want to lose that. However, if it was a flashing light, that would probably be better. And if you're deaf, you'll never hear that beep. So that alert is important. There are other alerts it's telling you about that if you continue to try to use this machine when it's doing that, you could very well damage it. So there is a reason for it. The regular standard beeping, I can do without. But yeah, it's just 2 wires. You could snip that. Not a big deal. So here comes some of the unconventional craziness. I'm about to do the thing, guys. I'm whipping out not just a crosspeen, but my tiny crosspeen. Now let me take this hot cut out before somebody gets on here cry-assing about safety. I don't need that in my life. That's why I work on this side, not this side, by the way. But hey, you do you. But there's always that guy. If he saw what I was wearing for shoes, he'd probably completely lose his mind. That guy. But hey, at least I have shoes on. Huh? That's got to count for something. So, conventional wisdom says, well, I fart in the face of conventional wisdom. But conventional wisdom says I should separate these 2 bars to do what I'm about to do. But guess what? I ain't gonna. You know why? You ain't the dad of me. So, can y'all see that? Oh my goodness. Oh my God, Rob, say it ain't so. Oh. Oh my God. Let me switch to the other camera so you guys can get full view of the asinine that I'm up to over here. Can you guys see still? Let me make sure. Get that off of there. Maybe I should try a forge weld, Roy, without flux. Because I fully concur. I've done it a couple of times. I will typically use flux though, because like I said, I'm all for giving myself the greatest possible chances. But it's a handicap. It is for certain. But Iron Mountain Flux makes it easy. Coupled with an induction forge, you are cheating. You are cheating. So conventional wisdom would say that you should separate these 2 pieces before you go doing this. Well, you know what? Like I said, says who? You ain't the dad of me, buddy. Just be careful when you go doing this part. You very well could forge weld them together. Yeah? Spread the material. Spread it. If you've ever been to a county jail, you've probably heard that before. Well, if you've been to prison, you've probably heard that before too. Spread them. When I was 17 years old, I did something exceptionally stupid and spent 2 weeks in a county jail. Let me tell you, that strip search was an experience I was not prepared for. I thought I was a badass until about that moment. They could have just sent me home right then and there, because lesson learned. So I can't really get in there very well. So I'm going to come to a slightly sharper corner. There we go. There we go. Opening those up. Now I'm about to get to a point where this is going to be difficult in the coil I am using on the forge right now, and I'm not going to swap them out. Bending. This counts, right? Bent. All right. Does this count? I don't know. I think it counts. I've told you guys I like to bend rules. I like to try to do things that people tell me I can't do. It's that I have an authority issue. I've always had one as a child. So this just kind of plays into that a little bit. So when somebody tells me I can't do that, or if you don't set very defined rules, well, that's on you, not me. So there we go. Ta-da! So we have a bend and a forge weld that has been punched. Bend and a forge weld, and we spread the material on the end. Again, we've met 3 bits of criteria in essentially one piece. So we've put a finish on everything else. Why not this? Anytime I do this, especially around these curves, well, let's just say I've burnt myself more than I'd care to admit. It's probably not a bad idea to wear gloves doing this. But I'm a dummy, so like I said, you know, I'm not suggesting that you do any of the dumb things that I do. But who knows? Maybe some of the dumb things resonate, and you're like, hell yeah, man, I haven't burnt myself today. I gotta get in on some of that action. Okay, get in on it, man. Get in on it. There's no time like the present. I like to typically run my fan near me when I'm doing this, so the smoke isn't like coming right up into my face like it is right now. It's probably not the greatest stuff to be inhaling, but I'm 51 this year, so I only got what, maybe 30 left, 40 tops. I'm golden, y'all. And hey, look, that piece, done and done. Another 3 elements of the forging fundamentals right there in one happy little piece. Happy little piece. I'm gonna switch to the big camera and read some stuff. I know y'all be making fun of me. It's cool though. I'll make fun of y'all motherfuckers too. I ain't scared. Who is that? Bernie Mac on Def Comedy Jam? I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. So, welded and punched. Not beautiful, but it's the thing, right? It's the thing. And this is one of those, I don't even do this kind of stuff typically. But, I mean, just what I did here, I already know, had I taken a little bit of effort, a little bit more time, I could have made this look so much better. But it's the thing. I got my bends, I got my spreads, I got my punch, and I got my forge weld in there. That's 3 pieces in, man. 3 pieces in. My dang-a-ling is getting bigger, y'all. This, not, what are you perverts thinking about? Jeez. Okay, I'm gonna come over here. Where did my smoke go? Here it is. I'm gonna come over here and look at this stuff, because I know y'all talking them stuffs. It's all good. So am I buying a ribbon burner? Hell yeah. I've got a ribbon burner. I'm okay, I'll just throw this out there. I'm not a, I see Jot. Hey dude, should be the Ford standard. I concur, man. Except for when I have to walk across that craggly ass driveway of mine and it hurts my tender ass feet. I ain't no barefoot person, man. Ethan and Josh were out here at my shop walking around out there barefoot. I was like, y'all are crazy. Anyways, yeah. It's all welded, punched, and bent, Rob. You trying to show me up? No, sir, I am not. I'm trying to hold up your teachings. But yes, I'm not a fan of gas. However, if I'm doing quote unquote production stuff, so if we're doing like multiple tongs, for instance, if we're gonna make 4 or 5 pairs of tongs, I would much rather have a gas forge going for that. There are times when doing some scrolls that I find the gas forge pretty handy at. However, even in the gas forge, my gas forge, it gets to a point where the coal forge just makes the most sense because it gets so wonky and, you know, difficult to position that in the coal forge it's just a lot easier to deal with. But for me, my ranking goes coal, induction, gas. That's just for me because, and I put induction number 2 because it gets used every time I'm in the shop, almost literally. That's with gas running or that's with coal running. I almost always use the induction forge for something. In fact, even if I'm not out here forging, there are times when I use the induction forge for something quick and easy. So it's just the most convenient. There's no reason not to have all 3 outside of room. If you don't have the room for them, I get it. But if you have 20 by 20 space you can use, there is no reason you can't have all 3. And they all will serve you a purpose. Cut the damn beeper noise. If you don't like it, you can cut that. Again, I warn you though, if your chiller starts throwing an error of some sort, you could overheat these and cause some damage to the actual machine. So at least maybe come up with a solution for that. I like the light idea. To be able to change it over to a lighting system, I think would be nice. So let's try that forge weld without flux. I'm not doing anything complicated with that weld, by the way. I'm going to bend over. I'm not going to bend over. Well, I might. I'm going to bend this over onto itself, forge weld it, and I'll cut it. Just to show it's welded. We can twist it. I'll do you one better than twisting now. I won't even twist it. One of my favorite things to do. So we run a little more heat in that. I was this close to reaching for the flux. I'm so used to doing that. Okay. I just folded it. I want to switch cameras again. I'm going to fold it one more time because, you know, hey, why not? Actually, I'm going to go one better. I'm going to cut it a little bit. Just so I can do the next thing I want to do after I do this. I think if this piece isn't forge welded, what I'm about to do is not going to work. Yeah? Well, let's find out. No flux. Can a scrub like myself do it? Can he do it? I don't know, y'all. I'm going to guess that this is forge welded. They are the same heat right now. Now this end is not. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. So I'm using a cross peen and I want to get in here. So what I'm going to do is come at it like this. Because I don't want to go get my straight peen. So to me, it looks like just the very tip, my quote-unquote scarf, is not fully welded. Okay. To my eyes, that looks like it's welded. Just needs to be refined. Oh. You can see a little bit of the weld seam here. Very faint here. I don't know if you guys can see it. Now, if these welds don't hold up, what I'm about to do is surely going to fail. Like, without a doubt, this is going to fail if I screwed this up. But I know this end is welded. Guaranteed. I'm certain of that. No flux. I'm going to go to the big camera just to make sure you guys know I ain't sneaking. You are, and you're a great teacher and a great inspiration, because, and while I don't typically forge weld without flux, I typically use flux. Without Roy showing the masses, if you want to say, that it could be done, I never would have even considered it. Wasn't wasn't on my bingo card, let's put it that way. So here's one of the things I've been doing, right? So if you're curious, I come out, I slap that down. I saw that somewhere once. I can't remember if it was Roy or Peter Ross or somebody else that I saw do that. And it made a lot of sense to me after seeing it. Okay, I'm going to take one more heat on this weld. I'm calling that welded. What do you guys think? Welded? Let's go to the anvil cam. Okay, so let's go to the anvil cam. No flux. Now, that very end, that seam is a little bigger than I would care to see. So I'm gonna work on that real quick. All right, let's see if that's welded up. This is how I like to do it, because if it ain't welded up, it's just gonna fall apart in this process. We ain't done yet, not by a damn sight. I'm only getting started with the crazy, y'all. I drew a taper, whatever, blattle, blattle, blattle. Now, I suspect if it's going to break apart anywhere, it's going to be on that end. But let's fuck around and find out. Let's bar it up. Tear that up. Have I ever mentioned that I like to take things to the extreme sometimes? Let's just see what we can do. What can we do? Well, round, let's try that. Why not? Let's keep on trucking, y'all. Let's keep on trucking. Oh, well, we're going to need a little more heat than that. Well, oh, there it goes. I took it to the extreme. It's coming apart. I mean, but let's be real. It's coming apart right there. But let's be real. Under normal circumstances, everything I just did in the last two heats, those are not things that you would normally do. That's not something you should be doing. Forge welded or not, two pieces of material like that, it's fine to take it down like that, not at the heats I was doing it at, but it's definitely, I can see it separating at the very end, well, not the very end, but right here a little bit, which is crazy considering I thought back here was the least welded. And I intentionally took this really cold and down further, and it's holding together just fine. But that scarf would need to be blended, if we want to call that a scarf. It's not really a scarf, but yeah, you can see. You can't see, but I can see. Let's see if I can put it up here. So I doubt you can see. But trust me, it's splitting right in here. Let me put it back on the anvil cam. But again, everything at the heat I was doing this at, there's no bueno, man. Don't do that. Work it hot. You will avoid that. Can you guys see that crack in there? Cracks, it's really not cracks, it's splitting. It's splitting apart. Right? And there's a couple of reasons for that. Heat primarily was one of them. And once I started forging out a square, which I was intentionally just wailing on it, just to see what I could do to make it fail. How much abuse it could take before if this was an actual piece that I needed, I would never work it that cold. There ain't no way. I would always work it hot. Maybe not forge welding hot, but the only time I would work it cold is once I had it really, really close and I'm just planishing it, not wailing on it like I was. You can do that, by the way, on a solid piece. You can cause that. But I suspect that's the weld giving up the ghost. But look at how much abuse that took. And all that, no flux. And I didn't do a whole lot of cleaning or whatever. I did some stuff. I could have prepped this scarf better. A lot of things I could do better. I don't typically do this, but that, to me, for me at this point, it's just as easy to do in a coal forge as it is to do in the induction forge, but I've got a lot of experience with a coal forge at this point, so I'm pretty used to it. But it's so much easier in a coal forge to burn a piece than it is in here, because you can see what's happening to it. So you can pull this out right on the brink. Where on, in coal, you run that risk where you don't catch it in time because you don't see it. But it can be done. It can be done. Gas forges, I think fluxless welding in a gas forge might, I know it can be done. I've seen guys do it, but I think it might be a little bit more challenging. You want to get your air and fuel mixtures right. You got too much air in there, and it's just creating so much scale. You gotta really pay attention to that. A lap weld or whatever, a faggot weld, whatever you want to call it. I think it would be a little easier in a gas forge, simply because once you clean that material and close it up onto itself, so you're almost protecting it from itself, and from the elements, using itself as a shield. However, when you're doing like a drop the tongs type weld, or a jump weld or something, that's a little trickier. But I think if you can bring it out screaming hot, especially if you can, slap that slag off of there as you're taking it to the anvil, as you're walking over, slack those two pieces down, it'll throw a lot of that slag off. And then once you bring them together and get to it right away, don't be monkeying around, and get to it, I think you can make it happen. I was watching some forge welding on some anvils, and what was the most impressive to me. Now, one, they were forging up big anvils essentially. What was most impressive to me, though, was how not lined up they really cared, because basically once they sat it down, for the most part, they just went with it and did the thing, and then they just hammered it where it needed to be after that. So if it wasn't perfectly aligned, whatever, it wasn't perfectly aligned. They dealt with it after the fact. They didn't monkey around a whole lot. They set that down and went. Now I think they did I saw in the video. I wish I could remember what it was. I think there was 3 that they did. Out of the 3, 2, I think, just from the angle of the video, it looked like they were pretty well lined up. One was I think that last beer might be kicking in right now, boys. They just set it, and they just went back later and fixed it. So let me read this stuff real quick. A type of weld Rob just performed, by the way, is called faggot weld, where you stack up and zigzag build a bar of material. Yeah. So yes, Roy's answered those questions for the most part, but just in case, if anybody was wondering, I don't know if you saw the little fire poker. That all that was a faggot weld of 2 pieces of 1/4 inch square stock that was forged. It was 2 separate pieces. This was 1/4 inch on the end or thereabouts, maybe 3/8. I don't remember. And all I did was I forged this area down, and then I folded it over, and then about 1 inch of this was welded together and then forged out to a point. So that's where that came in handy. There are other ways to do these types of fire pokers that I have done in the past that doesn't require any welding. But they're a little bit more, I don't know, more involved, I guess you could say. More work for those that aren't used to drawing material down. But it's not that hard to do. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Mark Asbury's videos on making a bending fork. That same technique can technically be used, a version of that technique can be used to do a fire poker like that. Right? It can be. But for no more than what I'm using that for, that kind of weld is fine. I think it's an overly used weld at times. And I think a lot of guys try to use it for things that it's not intended for. But whatever. And again, I am no forge welding expert by any stretch of the imagination, as you just saw. I am a bit of I'm a monkey with a hammer. And every once in a while I get lucky. But I try to do what this monkey saw somebody else do, and a lot of times that'll work. It will allow me to do the thing, and I did the thing. And again, I intentionally went after that piece with the intent of trying to make it fail, which it did. So I feel like mission accomplished. Let me go get my parachute, and if I've got an aircraft carrier for me to land on, I'll be glad to repeat that. Mission accomplished. But it is a very simple, it's probably, I personally feel, just my opinion, if you're going to teach people to forge weld, I think chain links might be one of the best go-tos. Because one, you're getting experience doing scarves, and you're forging it onto itself. You know, it is essentially the same thing though, but you're putting, you could scarf those lap welds, by the way, one end of it, so when you fold it over, you can blend that piece in. But another one would be like a drop the tongs style weld, where you take 2 pieces together and put them and drop your tongs on, you put the piece you're holding here on top of this to hold it. So once you drop those tongs away, you pick your hammer up and set that weld. I think that's a great one for people to learn, just because there's steps involved in there that you have to do, and it can be very useful if you want to make lightweight not lightweight tongs, but tongs for lighter things. You can, Bill Corey, I've got 3 pair of Bill Corey tongs that are all forge welded reins on them. And, I can see where that could save a guy a lot of time, so I get it. I prefer forging tongs out of one piece. I feel they're stronger, just my personal opinion, but I do things with tongs that probably the normal person wouldn't do. And when I'm working under a power hammer, The last thing in the world I want to think about is the potential for my tongs failing on a blow from a 250-pound power hammer and then sending hot steel all over who knows where. Just that would not be a fun day. But, you know, half inch and an under, I think forge welded reins are, they're fine depending on what you're doing with them. If you're just using it to hold material, if you're using it to bend heavy material, maybe you might want to, but even then, a good forge weld's probably going to hold just fine. Am I going to entrust my life by hanging from one, you know, and hoping that it holds my fat ass up? Probably not. I don't even know if I would do that with my other ones. But my titanium tongs that Andrew Larson made me, I would. If I thought I could hold on to those little skinny things long enough, yeah. And I do apologize. I'm walking over so I can actually read chat stuff. I find it interesting. I've not seen any Facebook posts, comments. Makes me think I thought I set the appropriate settings, but now I'm starting to think that maybe it did not, which is fine. Nobody wants to hear these yahoos over at Facebook, do they? All right, so let me check settings, edit audience. It is set to public, but there are comments from Michael Wright. Oh, John Burnell was on. Ken Foster's on. I see Brian's still here. Just all the YouTube guys they're out chatting everybody else. You guys are getting whooped. Y'all getting whooped. So anyways, oh, I see Ken Foster and John both were like, we're going to YouTube, man. Can't put up with these dudes no more. Make sure I haven't really missed anything back here. I do appreciate that Brian and Roy have been hanging out watching my dumbass do the dumbass things that I do. But I'll say one thing. If it weren't for those two guys, I wouldn't be doing these dumbass things. I learned it all from them. Making sure I have not missed any. I'm just scrolling back real quick. So I'm skimming. If I missed something, I do apologize. You know what's funny? The whole idea of streaming and trying to keep up with that chat, you would think in this day and age, we would have something better than just chat. Like, you know, you could do the text-to-speech thing, I suppose, but it's just, So I'm just going to call this shit out right here live on TV, y'all. I am a board member of the Indiana Blacksmith Association. And I've just received a message from somebody asking, I love this, not a member of that particular group, but they're a subgroup of ours. What is going on with my phone here? They are a subgroup of ours, but one of we're now referring to him as a satellite group liaison. So he's going to these various satellite groups and so on and so forth. And he said, hey bro, when you get a chance, can you please change the contact info for satellite group blah? We won't mention them by name. They want the website to match what's in the newsletter. I visited them last weekend, and that was one of their major complaints. Full stop. If you have a problem, why would you wait until somebody went out there? My email address is on the website. My email address is in the newsletter. My home address is in the newsletter. My phone number is in the newsletter. My phone number is on the website. But you waited until somebody was there to hear your cry-assing before you said something. Really? And suddenly, I'm the asshole in this situation. Okay. Yes, I can change that. That's not a big deal. But why is that a major complaint? It should have been a minor complaint whenever you notice it the first time and just called and said, hey dude, we've noticed that it's updated here, but it's not updated there. Can you help the guy out? Yes, we can. P.S. I'm just a board member. I'm not the web guy. I'm the membership secretary. I just handle memberships. Why do I get this stuff? It's beyond me. I also get the lonely old blacksmith dude that calls me once in a while, and I'm pretty sure that they don't have an actual legitimate reason to call other than they just want somebody to talk to. And I'm cool with that. I'm a bartender guy. I can be that bartender. I'll talk to you and whatever. I just hope that when I'm old and lonely, that somebody will answer the phone when I call. Or I'll just be yapping at you guys the whole time. Your phone is strapped to your chest. How do you pull that off, dude? That's crazy. But cool. I don't think I can pull that one off. So, the forging fundamentals, did I miss anything? I think I might have missed something. I might have skipped something. Let me check. If it's something quick and dirty, I'll knock it out. But I bent, I spread. Oh, I didn't upset a piece. Okay, here's Rob bending the rules, and I can prove this. When you draw a taper on a piece of material, you are also upsetting that material at the same time. Maybe not on purpose, but you are. I can prove it. I'm going to do it in flat bar because then somebody will cry foul, I'm sure. So, it's very noticeable in round bar, but I think I can show it in square bar. If I have a piece, yes. I'll put a quote unquote quick taper on the end of this bar. Let me switch cameras so nobody thinks I'm cheating. I got spreading. Did you take a nap, John? I'll show you. I'll prove it though. Let me do this real quick. I'm tilting my hammer. Just so you know, I'm intentionally trying to forge that way. I'm not forging this way. I don't know how well that's translating on camera. Oh, that was a bad hit. Okay. If you were to get a pair of calipers out, and I can already see it, right there, upset. So this material's extruding in this direction, but it's upsetting slightly in this direction. So anytime you draw a taper, especially for a drift, you want to dress that back. A little cold for this, but Right there, you can see it. You can even see the shine where behind it, right there, right? So, piece of chalk maybe. See that? I don't know how well that's coming across, but it is so slight. It is. Could you say, hey, he upset that bar? I guess, yes, you could, but is it really? Really? No. So let's upset it. One of the things I love about the induction forge, by the way, it makes this job so easy. I'm gonna round this up real quick. Kind of round it up. If you ever want to forge an anvil with a short horn, by the way, you got to swing that sledgehammer down in such a strange way, because you're basically coming down like this. Well, you'd be coming down like this. I mean, you could get around that to a degree, but so let me get this hotter. When I get this down a little more, I'll just file that real quick. I would go hit it on the grinder, but the grinder's currently unplugged. It's not unplugged. I had the wrong belt on, and the grinding belt is way back that way. Because I was talking when I changed it, and I was carrying it with me out to the front and completely forgot, and I laid it down. All right. Where is my raspy? There you are. And I'll take that rag off real quick. Well, kind of real quick. Kind of hard to do that one-handed for me. I'm just gonna put this in the vise. So much easier if I can just attack it. There we go. Yeah. Much better. Okay. That's probably good enough. All I just clean that end up. All right. Try to make sure I do this where you can see it. So there's a tenon on the end of this bar. So it doesn't make this easy. All right. Now I want to try to upset, I don't want to upset the bottom much. I'm going to come up a little bit just so it's obviously upset, right? I mean, it would still be obvious, I guess, but. I would normally do something like this in the vise, by the way, but this way you can actually see it. In the vise, it's just easier to control for me. You know, it doesn't tend to bend on me as much because I don't have to try to hold it straight and hit it straight, which is going to be, which you probably just should have just cut that tenon off, but I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to do the thing, y'all. All right. Now we're going to have a little fun with this upsetting thing. Why not? Ooh. I got an idea. Be right back. I'm using my Uncle Buck's guillotine tool right now, y'all. I got this back in 2019 at the first quad state I ever went to. Okay. I did all that so I could do this, because I'm going to upset this sucker. I am going to upset this sucker, y'all. Just you watch. Just you watch. My phone's too close to that. Like 40 heats later, I just realized that. Got a bit of a wobble to it. We'll get through that though. We still on the handle cam? I'm gonna try. Yeah, maybe not that much of a. I found for me, keeping this good and hot, especially right around that shoulder, a lot easier. I feel like that first edge was a little too sharp, so I'm going to drop back a little bit. But I'll get this sucker upset. Y'all see. You'll see, man. You'll see. Actually, it'll probably be a little easier this way. Not with much of a hit, but. My brush, oh, way over there. Now we're upsetting. I hate when that scale falls though. I would prefer to brush this off before I start, but I'm going to see if I can remember to reach down and grab that brush while I'm looking at it. Okay. Oh. losing my heat. I think this should count as upsetting. Because every time that scale falls on my hand, it's damned upsetting. I'd put a glove on too, but then what would I have to complain about? I'd find something, trust me. Rob's ugly little ball. His ugly little lump of steel on the end of a bar. Here. Got a little body, little thingy. I don't know what that is. An onion. Not a hex. Not really going for hex. I'm trying to slowly work those out a little bit. But it was a little not quite even. So, but it's slowly coming around. Trying to get the high facets out first is what I'm shooting for right now. I'm okay with that. I like all the little marks. I don't know how well you can see them, but I'm trying to get this in the light. Huh, upset thingy. Onion bulb? I don't know. But I'll do the same. I'm not going to do it now, but I think 3 is enough at this point. The John Not See, the Super Duper Ring, my ding-a-ling ring. I don't know if he's still around. There's my band. There's my spread. There's my forge weld, punched. Twist. Cut, cut, punched. Oh, by the way, cut. Cut, taper, punch. And I'll put that other piece on. I'll probably do that tomorrow. And it, onion bulb, is that what we call that thing? An onion bulb? 11:30. The hell? 11:30 already? I guess it is 11:30. Is it even a rasp without a golf ball? Dude, I tried the golf ball thing. I hated them. I didn't hate them, but I hated them. It felt like the damn things never stayed on. And honestly, not Harbor Freight, Tractor Supply, one day I walked in and they had a deal on those big fancy rasp handles, and I bought like 3 or 4 of them. And I think I gave Paul one. I might have gave somebody else one. Kurt, maybe? I don't remember. I can't remember where in the hell mine went. But the wooden handles are fine for me, I suppose. You know, maybe it's on my big rasp. It's in the job box. I'll go take a peek real quick. Because I haven't completely unloaded everything since the gathering. I know, I'm pretty sure that one has a wooden handle too. Oh yeah, it's in my bucket. Whoop, in my bucket. In my bucket. Tried to trip over a big ass extension cord over there, y'all. That would have been not fun. It may have been fun for you, not for me. This is my favorite rasp. Look at that bad boy. Oh, like 1.5 inches wide or something. This is like a quote unquote normal rasp. Look at the difference there. Ugh. I like this one. So yeah, onion bulb. Yeah, is that what we could call that? You can have a lot of fun with these. You can do hex balls on them. You can do just balls on them. You can do this onion bulb thing. You can keep, if you really keep working this down, you can do, I don't even know what you would call that shape. Somebody was calling it a mushroom. I was like, I don't know if I would classify that as a mushroom, but it's like a cone. I did on one once. Oh, I can't show you. It's definitely put away right now. But one of my scribes, I forged it down like that. So it's a cone on the top, you know, about like that all the way around. I just kept going and going and going. I just want, again, sometimes I get into this weird mode where it's like, let's see how far we can push this. And, you know, sometimes you come up with something interesting, and sometimes you look at it and go, what the shit is that? I get a lot of the what the shit is that on some of the things I do. Because I like to explore. I'm an explorer, man. I'm not a blacksmith technically. I'm just an explorer that happens to have an anvil. So, put this hammer up. I'm going to go quench this piece off before I forget and grab it. You know, do something dumb. I do a lot of that, so anytime I can avoid something dumb, I ought to. But yeah, I mean, from where this started to where this ended up, it needs to be straightened out a little bit. It could use a little refining. I'm pretty happy with that. You know, and it's an upset onion bulb. No complaints with that. I'm going to leave it on the big camera for now, because I am going to slowly but surely tear down, and hopefully you can still hear me. Hopefully you can still hear me, but I am turning down this microphone, so we'll see. So I'm down to just my wireless mic right now. You might hear some static as I put this cord away. But I tried to turn it down so that you wouldn't hear much if you heard any outside of me unplugging it. But I'm going to take some of this stuff down. I need to buy a new tripod for my cameras. I have come to the conclusion the big one that I have, I really like. I want to see if I can get one the same size but with a boom on it, which will allow me to do like actual overhead camera angles. Or, you know, and I'll go back and watch this later and, you know, and see what camera angles I like, and then try to make sure I hang on to that information going forward so I can try to replicate all of that going forward. But I need to order a new power supply for my camera, my other camera, because the other one is not happy, so the feed blinks in and out. And I'm pretty sure it's not the cable, the HDMI cable. I'm pretty sure it's the power cable. But it happens so quickly the way that it does it, it doesn't, the camera just only briefly loses picture. And I'd like to have the two Anvil cameras back again. So we'll see. Can't modify a mic stand. So Jot, and I'm sure that Roy could attest to this, I would not trust a $1,000 camera on a modified microphone stand versus a good camera tripod. Now, yes, I could, but they make booms for the cameras. I've got one, it's just smaller. And I would prefer I like the bigger one. It's super heavy duty. Plus it gets super tall. I mean, like it's taller, it's taller than I am, by about, I don't know. So I'm 6, I would say this thing's about 6, this thing's about as tall as Paul. So it's probably 6'6" or so. And I'll bring my boom one over so you can see what I'm talking about. That's essentially this, just bigger, taller. It's that other, the camera that is on the tripod right now is about this, the tripod itself is about this tall. So I can make this one a little taller, but it's not as heavy duty as the other tripod. So I just don't know how I feel about it in terms of stability. You know, where I know the other one, oh, this is the one with the foot that came off. Let me put that back on. A minute. In a minute. I'll do it right now. Where'd I put that foot, y'all? It's over here. But yeah, man, I wouldn't trust that kind of expensive camera gear on some modified thing, right? I just would not feel good. If that thing fell over or something, man, I would be a very not happy person with myself. So there's that one. So this is as tall as this particular stand gets. And like I said, I just don't necessarily feel good about its stability to a certain point, where the other one is pretty solid. Now I could put a weight on this to help. I could hang a weight from here, which would definitely help. And those cameras don't weigh that much. So, I mean, this is failing before the tripod is. But if it was higher, I could keep it mostly out of the frame of the other camera. That's the other thing. I don't like seeing these cameras in frame. It's a stupid pet peeve, but it is what it is. Man, that thing is on tight. But this is nice because I can make it normal again, per se. Normal. Standardize. So, I mean, I can raise it up, but I like being able to reach out and then kind of come down. I think would be a cool view of the anvil. We'll see. I mean, that stand really wasn't that much more expensive. Okay, it was, but it's still relatively affordable in the grand scheme of things. But it wasn't that much more expensive than these. What's wrong one? I'll just deal with that later. But yeah, these are fine for some things, but when you want that extended boom look, I don't know if I trust it at that point. Oh, check this out, y'all. Y'all might have already known about this shit, but I didn't know. Oops. Turn that off. Bill Corey, who from time to time will jump into the stream very early and is usually off of here by 9 o'clock, 9:10 if he's really staying out late. But check this out. He turned me onto this app, this tool for my propane tanks. So we have propane here at the house. We run off propane for gas, and then obviously my forage tank. So I can now check those on an app. So this is the forage tank. It's sitting at 38% full. And then our main, which is a 500-gallon tank, sitting at 65% right now. I used to have to walk out there and look at the stupid little gauge. Now there's like a little hockey puck thing that's Bluetooth enabled, and I can slap that underneath that tank, and I've got one underneath that one. And they were like, I don't know, $65. So now I know how much fuel is left in these things, roughly. We'll see how accurate it is, but for the big one, I've already checked it against its gauge and they're about almost dead on. This one, time will tell. But I need to go refill these. I've got 200-pounders. I need to go refill them before my hammer in May 17th, y'all, by the way, here at my shop. May 17th, Charlie Ellis from Coal Iron Works will be here demonstrating. If you haven't seen his work, I highly recommend you check him out. And he will be here demonstrating on Saturday. And I think it'll be good times. And I would like to try to stream some of that. So we'll see how it goes. He says, screw it to the roof. Not in my shop, man. Or I could take some of my hard-earned money and just buy an appropriate tripod for it and be very happy. I could do that. I make bank, man, so I can do it. I'm allowed every once in a while to even spend money. So I'm gonna turn this light off. I don't know what that thing, oh, it's for batteries. It's kind of funny, I've got these, they're nice LED lights for the most part, you know, for their photo lights. I got a pair of them and they're nice, but they did not come with batteries, which is fine. I don't use batteries very often anyways. For most of this stuff, it's all plugged, hardwired essentially. But it cracked me up when I got it. I was like, really? No batteries? That's crazy. Yeah, batteries are expensive. And then you got to keep the damn things charged. So with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night and then put the rest of this junk away. And I appreciate those that hung out and listened to me ramble on. You know what? I mean, from where this started, I'm pleasantly pleased with that. And it would not take much to really clean this thing up. And I left plenty of meat in there, so it didn't overly thin out. That's a problem sometimes. You got to be very careful about. Did not do any of that. I really enjoy doing that kind of stuff. I don't know why, I just do. So if you guys ever have a grill project or a gate and you need those types of elements, you know, hook me up. I'll do them. I enjoy it. I enjoy it. So with that said, again, I'm gonna call it a night. Again, thanks for hanging out, and I will catch you guys on the next one. And I'm gonna seriously think about how I can live stream the hammer in. I think that might be a first for the Indiana Blacksmith Association. So I think that'll be pretty cool. So you guys take care. And again, thanks for hanging out. And we'll see you hopefully next week. Yeah, and then and if not, well, then I don't.